What's up, everybody? So today is closing day, which you know what that means. It means we're getting paid. And again, this is a JV deal I talked about in my previous post, but I want to talk about how to close a vacant land deal. So what we do, what I teach my students in the land flipping profit system, is that we want to get the settlement statement from the title company a day or two before the closing. And the reason is we want to review it, make sure that the buyer's paying all the seller's closing costs, and there isn't anything weird on it. Okay, so that's exactly what we did. We got the settlement statement, and then I called the seller yesterday and went over all the numbers with her, right down to the penny. So she's paying the taxes, she's paying for a dock prep fee, she's paying for a few other fees, and we went through all of those numbers. Now, what can sometimes happen is that the seller may have questions about some of those charges. Those are known as debits on the seller's side of the settlement statement, right? And so in this case, that's exactly what happened. She wasn't aware that the title company was charging her a $300 dock prep fee. Now, I had also questioned that, and I sent an email to the title company asking them to clarify, why was there this $300 fee on the settlement statement? Well, it turns out the property was a probate. Her mom had passed away, so they had to prepare a document. The title company had to prepare a document that's known as an affidavit of heirship, and they charged the seller $300 to prepare that document. But apparently, they didn't tell the seller that they were going to charge her $300. So the seller was like, what the heck, I don't like this, lack of transparency. And that's where it's okay to be a little firm, not push back, but just basically explain to the seller, like, look, I'm calling you as a courtesy to go over these numbers. This is really the title agent's job. If you have any questions, I would suggest bring it up with the title company, right? I don't even need to be calling you. This is the title agent's job. But you want to do this because you want to make sure that there's no surprises at the closing. You want to make sure that when the seller shows up to the closing, they know exactly how much they're going to net down to the penny, which is exactly what is going to happen with this closing today, right? She knows everything that she's being charged for on the seller's side of the settlement statement, and she knows exactly how much she's going to net down to the penny. Now, if I hadn't called her, what could have happened? She would have showed up at the closing. She would have had all these questions. Maybe she would have been upset. She probably would have still signed, but it would have caused some delays, right? Because then there's more, of a conversation, more of a dialogue that would have to happen between the seller and the title agent at the closing itself. Okay, so you always want to call the seller and go over the settlement statement a day before the closing, which is exactly what I did in this case. And we're going to close this deal and make $10,000. The student is going to make $5,000 because it's a JV deal. And if you'd like to learn how to close your own vacant land deals, comment land below and I'll send you the blueprint.